Hi fellow experimenters and tinkerers, and welcome back to my channel. The subject of today's video is antique watches and clocks, and I love collecting these things. So I'm going to do some unboxing today. Here is a clock. It's made by Wesclox. And this particular clock was made sometime between 1920 and 1947. And here's another containing a non-functioning field watch. Now, before I open up these packets, let's check them for radioactivity, because Wesclox, after 1930, they banned the use of radioactive paint in the clocks because of the radiation poisoning of many of the ladies that were involved in painting the dials on these clocks. And they stopped using the radioactive paint and went to non-radioactive fluorescent or phosphorescent paints 1930 and after that year. Now the field watch, these were made for use in the trenches. They're sometimes called trench watches, and those were invariably painted with radioactive dial paint. Now I have no idea when this one was manufactured, but I'm sure that it is likely going to be when they were using the radioactive dial paints. Also, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at some other items that you can get in the house. We're going to look at some uranium glass. We're going to look at some vintage ceramics, like this plate. And we're also going to look at a smoke detector. I took the piece out of the smoke detector and stuck it on the end of a pencil. Those contain americium 241. So let's begin by first checking the unopened parcels for radiation. And what better than a Geiger counter? And I have one here. This one has a plastic cover, and when you uncover it, it's useful for detecting alpha particles. But we don't really need to uncover it for this test, simply because it's unlikely that alpha particles would ever make it through the paper or boxing material that's here. So let's put this on audio. So right now we're picking up background radiation. Now, let's put our probe near this unopened field watch. And look at that. That field watch is highly radioactive, either gamma or beta, or something that can make it out of the packet. And turn it over and do the same test again, because it depends. The metal backing is going to attenuate the radiation, but the front glass is probably not going to attenuate it that much. So I can even tell you which way the watch is facing in this envelope. The backing is likely on this side, and the glass front of the watch is likely on this side. And the watch is probably right about here, where this probe is located. Glass facing forward. Now, let's check this Wesclox box. Definitely seeing elevated levels of radiation in the Wesclox box. So even before I've opened this box, I can tell you that this clock was made before 1930, just based on what I know about the use of radioactive paint. So the clock, probably the face of the clock, is this way. Okay, so now let's do a little unboxing. Before I even open these packages, I'm going to put some gloves on, just in case any part of these devices is broken and the radioactive paint has gotten out in the form of a powder. I don't want to get that on my hands. First, let's open up this field watch packet here. Now we guessed which way was it that the watch is pointing? That the face is this way. So let's go ahead and open it. Let's see what we have. A packet inside a packet. Let's cut this up. Cut this open. I'm trying to keep it the way it was, facing what I believe to be up, and let's see if we're right about that. And yes, we are right. Here's the field watch. Let's unwrap this. It feels like it's intact. Let's check some of the wrapping for radioactivity. Looks like it's good. Now let's check the face. And that is off the scale, and that's with a plastic shield. Now the alpha particles are unlikely to make it through the glass of this field watch. Let's see if we can do a close-up of the field watch. Here's a detailed view of the radioactive paint. It looks like over time, fragments have chipped off and are likely contained by the watch glass. So you definitely don't want to open these things and get exposed to the dust. Now we're going to do this box. I'm just going to rip it right open. Here's a Wesclox. Now, let's check that paint. Yep, it's definitely radioactive paint. I bet it's having a hard time getting through that glass. Let's open this up. And here it is. A Wesclox timepiece made before 1930, based on the fact that the paint is radioactive. And obviously a lot of it getting attenuated by this fairly thick glass on the front of it. And very interesting. And usually after such a long period of time has elapsed, you know, in almost 100 years, the radioactivity is almost the same, but the paint usually loses the ability to phosphoresce, simply gets damaged by the radiation over many years. So there's our Wesclox. Now here's another vintage watch, which I bought some time back, and have not checked this one for radioactivity. It wasn't advertised as a field watch, it was just like a non-working vintage watch. And let's see who makes this one. It says here, Delmark. I don't know if you can read that or not, it's not real clear on this video, but it's Delmark, and I'm sure it was made about 100 years ago. So let's check this for radioactivity. Yep, it's definitely made before 1930. Now let's check with the windowless probe. And I'm picking up a lot more radiation. Bottomed out about 2 millirem per hour. So less radioactive than that field watch. This is the Fiesta ware that I showed you earlier. And this was very popular in the 60s and 70s. And there's a lot of radiation coming off this plate. And that doesn't take into account the alpha radiation, since the plastic likely attenuates it. Let's take it out of this bag and see what the alpha radiation does. Now look, picking up the alpha with the windowless Geiger counter give me double. Put the plastic bag in there. It attenuates it. Put the plastic cover on. It attenuates the alpha even more. All right, fiesta ware. And people were drinking coffee out of cups made of this stuff, eating food off of these plates, microwaving things. I don't know, were microwaves around that time? But anyway, using them to heat things up. Now, let's look at some other stuff. Let's look at the uranium glass. Uranium glass was way popular, and I love collecting items made of uranium glass because of their fluorescent properties. One of the things that makes uranium glass interesting is its ability to fluoresce beautifully under UV light. Now let's check its radioactivity. Here's our Geiger counter. Here's our bear. So it's slightly radioactive compared to background. But because of the glass, a lot of the radiation gets attenuated by the glass itself. Okay, this is a nichrome wire heating element, and it's got these ceramic pieces. And I've always wondered whether those were made of thorium oxide or not, because this came out of an older style heater. So let's check it out. Definitely a little bit of an uptick. Let me take this off of it, see if it makes a difference. Not really. I think it's picking up background from that plate. Let me move everything away and repeat it. Hang on a second. Okay, I moved all the radioactive material away from the heating mantle, the heating wire. So let's see. Now, this stuff is not radioactive. No thorium in it. Lastly, I'm going to check potassium nitrate. This is a chemical that's commonly used in curing meat. And the potassium contains small amounts, trace amounts of potassium-40, which is a radioactive isotope of potassium that has a very long half-life, in the millions of years range. So here we're going to see if there's any radiation in this potassium nitrate. And yes, there is. There's a definite uptick compared with background. Enough to hear the difference and even see the difference. Now, if I take it away from this, let's see what happens. Put it back near it. So there you are. Potassium-40 occurring naturally in a potassium salt, in this case, curing salts. Well, folks, I do hope you found this video interesting. I do like to collect some antique things, particularly field watches and old clocks from back in the early part of last century. And when you buy these things, you may not even know that you're buying something that's radioactive. So this just kind of demos how interesting it is to check these. And the radium stays radioactive for thousands of years, long after the phosphorescence of the dial has faded away. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please consider liking or subscribing. And please come back and check out future videos.